Running a Fever, episode 425, Sarah Knauss update. Welcome to Running a Fever. I'm Michael Davis. This is a show about loving life and living long. If that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. Speaking of living long, well, you now know this episode is about Sarah Knauss, the third longest lived person ever. You may know that I've already published an episode on her, number 169, back in 2019. If you want to check that out, you can go to runningafever.com/169. But you won't have to, because I'm going to recap what we covered in that episode here. I'm doing another episode for the same reason I did a second episode on Jeanne Calment. There is more information available now, and I wanted to publish an update to let you in on that. Who is Sarah Knauss? She is number 3 on the list of oldest verified people. You can always find the most up-to-date list on Wikipedia, and I will of course link that page in the blog post at runningafever.com/425. Sarah also has her own Wikipedia page now. Back when I did episode 169, she was the second oldest. But she was overtaken in 2022 by Connie Tanaka, who is now number 2, ahead of Sarah by only 10 days. But she is still the oldest American ever. Sarah Knauss was born on the 24th of September, 1880. She died on the 30th of December, 1999, 48 hours before the turn of the century. She lived 119 years and 97 days, and is one of only 3 people to live to the age of 119. Sarah's age was verified by the Gerontology Research Group from census records. Though the 1890 census records were destroyed by fire, an 1891 census referred to the 1890 results, which listed a 10-year-old Sarah Clark. She was mentioned at 19 in the January 1900 U.S. Census, and her marriage record in August 1901 lists her age as 21. Her age is mentioned without contradiction in subsequent censuses from 1910 and 1930. She preceded the adding machine, the camera, local anesthesia, the ballpoint pen, and the submarine. She was 13 when Henry Ford built the first car, and 32 when the Titanic sank. She was in her 80s when the Vietnam War broke out. She was 88 when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. Recently, well, it was 5 years ago, but it wasn't out when I did the earlier episode. A 16-minute video was released of an interview with Sarah conducted in the 1990s. She was 98 at the time. In it, she was very talkative and wanted to talk about everything she could remember in some detail. The interview had to bring her back to the subject at hand several times. She talked about her childhood. She talked about the railroad and traveling by sleigh. She had to go several miles every day to get the mail, sometimes on horseback, sometimes on foot. She talked about people coming through by stagecoach and bringing news. There was no telephone, radio, TV, or internet, of course. People mainly communicated by writing letters. Because of the difficulties of travel, people who came to visit would stay at least 2 weeks. No one ever came just for a weekend. They brought plenty of luggage. She thought it was a wonderful world we live in today, with all the technology available, but said that we are no happier today, and that when she was young she had everything she needed, and people were very friendly. It was a good life, and family was important in that. She said that family life wasn't what it used to be. Children seek more independence. She's concerned about the youth of today being patriotic and understanding how great this country is. Sarah spent her whole life in Pennsylvania steel country and was proud of how they made the materials that built the country, especially the railroads. When she came to Lancaster, there were 3 cars in town. Railroads were a main mode of transportation. They had a marvelous trolley system for the first 30 years of the 20th century. If you went to Boston or New York, that was a long trip. A trip to Florida was a 3-day trip. Sarah never took an airplane flight in her life and never drove a car. She was born in Hollywood, Hazel Township, Lucerne, Pennsylvania, and died in Allentown. Her husband was Abraham Lincoln Knauss, who, appropriately, was a Republican politician. Their only child lived to be 101, but when Sarah died, there were 6 generations spanning from Sarah, 119, to her 4-year-old great-great-great-grandson. She also had a grandson, 3 great-granddaughters, 5 great-great-grandchildren. All 6 generations were featured together in a photograph for Life magazine in 1998 when Sarah was 118. There are plenty of instances of this on Google if you want to check it out. She worked as an insurance office manager and homemaker. Although her family was one of the first in her town to own a car, she never drove one. Although she was around at the time of the Wright brothers' first powered flight, she also never flew in an airplane. According to one article, she was a renowned storyteller. She apparently liked transportation, as she claimed to have seen the last horse-drawn trolley in Allentown, where she lived most of her life, having moved there upon her marriage, and the last electric trolley, and the last steam-driven locomotive in service in Allentown. Her grandson and others said Sarah was a very quiet woman. She enjoyed playing bridge with a group of Allentown women. During World War II, she did her part by rolling bandages for wounded soldiers. An accomplished seamstress, Sarah used a foot-powered sewing machine until 1940, when her family gave her a powered one. She also did a lot of needlework, some of which still survives in the homes of her descendants. She was a church member in Allentown and attended Bible study classes at her nursing home. When she was told she was the oldest woman, she said, "So what?" Let's talk about her quality of life. This is always very important when you have a long life, is the quality of it. In 1995, Sarah said she enjoyed life because she still had her health and could do things. She lived her last 9 years in the Phoebe Home nursing home, along with her daughter, who was 96 at the time of Sarah's death. She died peacefully in her sleep, sitting up in her chair in her room with no known illness. She was almost completely deaf when she died. She used a wheelchair. It was said that she always had a smile on her face. She sewed her last quilt in 1987 when she was 107, but was still hemming clothes for the family right up until her death. She went to the hairdresser every week, up until her death, and wore her hair in a French twist. She had a relatively youthful appearance, as you can see from photographs of her, even late in life. On her 119th birthday, she said she did not make a wish when she blew out the candles. She got out of bed every day and loved doing things, especially when there were children involved. On her 119th birthday, she got up at 6:30 a.m., 3 hours before she usually did, and couldn't wait to get out of bed. She said, 119? I just can't be 119. That day, she wore an ivory crocheted dress, an ivory cashmere sweater, and pearls. Marcella Moyer-Schick, executive director of the Phoebe Dewitt Holmes Foundation, who alerted Guinness about Knauss and backed up the oldest claim with marriage and census records. She obviously is a very elderly woman, but she continues to get out of bed every day and goes to activities, especially things that have to do with children. She loves to see the children. End quote. Her favorite television channel was the QVC Shopping Network. So, what did this supercentenarian eat? Called a chocoholic, Sarah ate chocolate every day until her death. On her 119th birthday, she ate crab patty, a butterscotch sundae, and chocolate turtles. And of course, birthday cake, which was chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. I see a trend here with the chocolate. I think I might need to start eating more chocolate. Her secret for longevity was keep busy, work hard, and don't worry about how old you are. She also said she didn't let anything upset her. Well, that's the update on Sarah Knauss. Hope you enjoyed it. And I am continually searching for information on supercentenarians. Please feel free to comment on this episode. I'd love to hear what you think of it. And remember, if you got the fever, keep it burning. If you don't, catch the fever. And I will talk to you next time on Running a Fever.